Hey everybody, my name is Abraham Garcia, and this is Language Contact Presentation Número dos, Spanish 218. So let's get started. Get this. Okay, so just an overview of what I did for my activities for the contact hours. I did 30 minutes reading in Spanish, and that reading consisted of sports articles found on ESPN.com, and it was a mixture of articles ranging from different sports, from soccer to baseball to football to just any kind of sports since it is ESPN. And the second half of my hour of Spanish language culture contact was Spanish television, watching Spanish television. And the show that I particularly watched, versus in contrast to the first language contact presentation, I focused more on watching ESPN Deportes, which is just exactly like ESPN, except as you may guess, it's spoken in Spanish throughout the whole entire telecast. So it's pretty fun, and let's dive into it. What I learned. So as you can see on the left-hand side of the new vocabulary, I learned a lot. So I couldn't just leave it as one word or things like that. So I decided to write out phrases and actual quotes from players and uh, lead writers from ESPN.com when I was reading Spanish. So just to illustrate what exactly I learned in terms of new vocabulary, let's begin with the first one up top. So the Spanish uh, way of saying it is campeonatos en los que han estado peleando en lo más alto de la clasificación general. So what that means is championships in which they have been fighting in the highest level of general classification. That was just speaking about soccer team, a Mexican soccer team in La Mexica Liga, I think it's called. Moving forward, another uh, set of words that I learned is from this little sentence right here. So, más allá del cierre de torneo que se la avecina al Guadalajara, Salcido espera que puedan concretar el boleto a la fiesta grande para pelear por un título que se las ha negado desde 2006. Yeah, there was quite a handful in there, but all of that me from the way he spoke about the player and things along that line. So what that means is beyond the closing of the tournament that is approaching Guadalajara, Saucedo hopes that they can make the ticket to or punch their ticket to the Fiesta Grande to fight for a title that has been denied them since 2006. Vocabulary learned tiros a goal, shots at goal, and this is a quote from a player just showcasing how a soccer player would feel after a match, in particular in this case. So Spanish paragraph. Sauceda aclaró que habrá que enfocar en lo nuestro, tratar de conversar esos 90 minutos como el equipo se ha casado. No hemos mantenido 90 minutos del fútbol que manejamos. Cada partido es diferente y venimos de una derrota que nos ha dolido mucho. Esto es fútbol y tenemos en par de días otro partido. So what that means is Ciro clarified that it will be necessary to focus on us and try to preserve those 90 minutes like this team has been characterized. We have not maintained 90 minutes of soccer that have handled so far, and every game is different. We come from a defeat that hurts us a lot, but this is soccer, and we have another match in a couple of days. So, importance that I found behind reading articles such as these is that it illustrates up-to-date sports news occurring in Mexican cities, Latino communities, and things of that sort across the Latino nation. And another set of importance, not only does it allow the everyday Latino fan keep up their favorite teams and see how their players react to a loss, win, or their best personal day, and so on, but also I think it's essential that Latino culture has a sports entity or characteristic in their culture because the Spanish culture and sports culture typically infuse and show, and that shows in how certain teams play. For instance, Guadalajara is very attacking, very forceful in their in soccer. And when commentators call the games, they relate it to how people are in the city, and that goes for American football too. When they talk about a hard-nosed football team, they talk about a blue-collar city. So that's what I mean by a Spanish culture and a sports culture typically infusing affect how teams typically play. Moving forward, um, the next 30 minutes consisted of watching television, exclusively watching ESPN Deportes just to get that sports atmosphere and commentary. So some vocabulary I learned was pretty much mid-match, so it was kind of hard to remember, but do my best. So Volpi ataje de gran manera un cabezazo de Paul Aguilar. So that means Volpi, the goalie, saves a great header from Paul Aguilar. So a header meaning the soccer ball went towards his head and he shot it towards on goal. Goal anulado, so nullified goal, blocked goal, that kind of deal. Taquito, so it's not your typical taquito, little mini taco, rolled taco, but it's actually some slang that commentators use to describe a heel kick or shot on goal by a player. It's really interesting. Detiene un remate de media distancia. So the goalie in particular halts a half-distance shot from the opposing player. And lastly, another phrase that I learned consisting of the words that I haven't ever really seen before. El abanderado, the flag bearer that's typically on the sideline. Anula la anotación de taquito, which you just learned is a heel kick. De Oribe Peralta. So the flag bearer annuls or cancels the entry of Oribe Peralta's kick goal, but in this case, I just left it as taquito. Um, so the importance of ESPN Deportes or sports Spanish television in general, just through the commentators of, in this case, ESPN, but also just sports commentators throughout the Latino sports world, like now has a voice to listen and picture to see of their favorite sports team or local sports controversy that's just the talk of the town kind of a deal, and just you can't ignore that fact. And Latino sports television portrays that and does a really good job of explaining and detailing. So yeah, to illustrate the way commentate another example is the way commentators would call the game and the highlights, and just consisted of colorful Latino commentary that easily correlates and showcases the culture of Latin America's, such as being vibrant, energetic, loud, just very into the game, very about it. So I thought that was very important. So, in conclusion, the 1 hour is speaking, and speaking by I mean reading out loud, listening, and yeah, reading language exposures through ESPN and showcasing Latino sports world around me was very amusing. I personally watch ESPN all the time, and it's a safe channel for me on the TV. But I never really bothered to check out ESPN Deportes or change it to the SAP button, as they call it. And in the end, it was a lot of fun watching all the sports highlights and listening to the insider commentary and breaking sports news, especially in Spanish. The way they were energetic about it, because I'll be able to utilize all that new vocabulary I learned, and also better communicate when speaking about sports and Latino culture with uh, other Latinos. So that is my language contact presentation. Um, and thank you for your time.